So can we please have you on the stage? We're pleased to welcome Shri S. Sivamathan, Director, Bangalore Metro Rail Corporation Limited, as an esteemed speaker at the 5th edition of InnoMetro. He holds a BCom degree, an MBA in finance, and is also an associate member of the Institute of Cost and Management Accountants of India. With over 32 years of extensive experience in finance, accounts, HR, administration, he has served in several prestigious public sector undertakings. At Bangalore Metro Rail Corporation Limited, he oversees all finance and account functions, including fund management, coordination with Government of Karnataka, Government of India, and overseas development agencies. For ODA loan funding, he is also responsible for financial planning, liaising with domestic financial institutions, compliance, and MIS reporting. We welcome you, sir. I request you to please take the stage for a special presentation.
Good morning, not good afternoon. I think after hearing the technical session, wherever you go, the finance play a very big role. Unless the financial closure is happened, the project will not be completed. So the topic given to me is, as you all aware, that all metro rail projects which are very capital intensive are being funded by external funding agencies. Of course, with the help of Government of India and concerned state government all across India. I will focus on how to make metro rail project financially viable from the perspective of starting from DPR stage to implementation and O&M stage, linking with how funding, the debt component will play a big role in making the metro rail project financially viable in the long run. So if you see, so during planning stage, we have to be very mindful of how to make the system viable. When we prepare the DPR, the consultant has to take into account where the alignment should go and where the station should be there. Normally, the station should be near to the bus stand so that it attracts more and more passengers. Railway station, this has been happened in Bangalore. Educational institutions, if it goes, we can attract more and more students into our system. And also commercial hubs and all. We should plan for multimodal integration and last mile connectivity. Most of the metro systems have been planned in such a way that there is hardly any last mile connectivity. Because of that, we are not able to attract much of the passengers. And also we should plan for TOD. And with it, wherever we develop the TOD, the metro and the state government can generate a lot of additional revenue in the form of FAR, particularly from the impact zone. Then we should also plan during the DPR stage generating renewable energy. This is being the practice in every metro. Then once the DPR is submitted, both state government and Government of India, they take a lot of time. I can vouch for Bangalore Metro. The DPR was submitted for phase 2 in 2010. State government approved in 2012. Government of India gave the approval in 2014. So it took 4 years. Whereas the completion cost indicated in the DPR was with the premise that immediately on submission of DPR, work will start. So any delay from the approval point of view will lead to cost escalation and time overrun. Then also, one of the important factors we should keep in mind is that this is the requirement from Niti Aayog also. Once, when we prepare the DPR and submit to the government, 90% of the land should be available with the SPV. But normally it is not happening. We should also plan for that. Then finally, the financial closure should be made in a time-bound manner. The tenure should be longer, because if you go for shorter tenure, the metro will not be in a position to repay the loan in a shorter period of time. Then rate of interest should be linked with MCLR, SOFR, Euribor. The repayment period, particularly in metro, it is mostly on straight line method. So these are the things one should keep in mind during the planning stage. During the implementation stage, everybody knows that tender conditions and number of packages should be finalized during the DPR stage itself, so that the moment Government of India approval is there, we are able to float the tender. And also, based on the experiences we gained, all metros have gained during the implementation earlier phases, whatever the changes in the conditions required, we should do that. Then tenders should be floated immediately, and we should consider contractor as our partner. Not only we should think that he came and earned profit. He is earning profit, that is the primary motive, but he is doing the work and earning the profit. Then conditions should include possible changes in the scope, price variation, everything should be there. This is the one which we should take into account for making the metro system financially viable during operation stage. Plan to achieve, we should plan to achieve year-on-year increase in the ridership. This we should do by giving last mile connectivity and also extending the line, expanding the capacity. Then plan to augment alternate revenue to supplement farebox. We cannot depend upon only farebox revenue. The plan to ensure non-farebox revenue, which during the DPR stage, what is happening is that state government give all sorts of comfort to the Government of India. Yes, we will do this, we will do that. But once DPR is approved, project is approved, not much of support is coming from state government. So we should ensure that whatever the non-farebox avenues indicated in the DPR should be realized once the project is approved by Government of India. Then we have to have a plan for fare revision on annual basis. If you take the Bangalore-Delhi Metro, since last 8 years, no fare revision has taken place. Bangalore, last 7.5 years not took place. Only recently but with a lot of difficulties, the fare fixation committee was constituted and fare was revised. And if you take the international experience, Singapore, Hong Kong, they have the annual automatic fare revision formula. Based on that, they revise the fare every year without any public outcry. The increase is very less and public acceptability, political acceptability is very high. So we should also try to have annual fare revision. In Bangalore, we have on the lines of Singapore Metro and Hong Kong Metro, we got the formula with a cap of 5% from the fare fixation committee, and it has been approved by our board. And we will have the fare revision every year, now onward. So what happened during the last fare revision, that the increase was, because it was necessary, but public were thinking that the increase was too much, and there was much of alagula from both public as well as political. But once we have the automatic fare revision formula and revising the fare every year, it will reduce the public outcry. Then we should have the differential fare structure during peak hour and non-peak hour, so that non-peak hour also we should be able to attract much of the passenger into the system, which will ultimately increase the top line of the metro. Then we should also, as previous discussion was going on, outsourcing of some of the maintenance activities with OEM, particularly in system. Civil may not be, but system, yes, every metro is doing, and we should in every metro this should be done. Then we have to outsource non-core activities in O&M. Plan to engage PPP operator for O&M like NCRTC, what they have done in Delhi. Mumbai Metro Line 3 they have done with Delhi Metro. CMR also they have outsourced the O&M to BMRCL. HMRCL they have Hyderabad Metro they have also outsourced their they themselves are PPP operator. Still they have outsourced their O&M activities. Then plan for city bus services to complement rather than compete with metro. In Bangalore, what we have done is that we discussed with the BMTC, and instead of running their buses parallel to our metro system, they are now planning, they are operating the buses to bring more and more passengers into our metro, so that they are also benefited, we are also benefited. If you see the Nagpur and Pune, they have done a wonderful job, basically because that time when the Nagpur metro project was approved, there was a condition from Government of India that the FIRR should be 8%. To achieve that, they came out, Government of Maharashtra came out with a lot of non-farebox revenue, and true that they have earned about 64% during the financial year 22-23. Though their farebox revenue is not much, only 7.92%. But if you see the revenue from stamp duty, additional stamp duty, which they are collected, is about 65%. So this kind of things, every metro, wherever in new city metro is coming, we should tell the state government official to do this kind of innovative funding mechanism, not only for capex but also for opex. Now we'll come to Bangalore Metro, just to give you a glance. So we have on date 175.55 kilometer metro, which has been approved under construction, of which phase 1, phase 2, phase 2A, 2B. The entire section will be completed by 2027 December, and by that time anybody who will be coming to Bangalore can travel from airport to city through metro. And phase 3 recently approved, phase 3A under approval with Government of India. And if you take everything by 2031, Bangalore will have another 200 and almost 256 kilometer. And the total investment you see, 1,03,975 lakh crore. 1,03,975 crore. Huge capex, and on date we are operating 76.95 kilometer, and we are carrying about 8.5 to 9 lakh passengers per day. And before I come to how international funding will help metro to be financially sustainable, we have to understand what is the domestic loan scenario. We have actually, the Bangalore Metro is only the metro which has tapped domestic loan also. We raised about 300 crore through issue of bonds, InnoMetro bond. The coupon rate was 8.79%. Then we also raised through state financial institution like Karnataka Urban Industrial Development Finance Corporation. They gave at 4%, about only 34 crore, not much. The capex which we need is huge, but they gave only whatever they could able to give. Then also we raised about 650 crore as term loan from UDCO or ADCO. The rate of interest was 11.75% to 9.45%. Because initially when we signed the term loan, it was 11.75, it came down. But if you see, they need Government of Karnataka guarantee, they need collateral, they insist escrow mechanism. So because of this, no metro is comfortable to go for domestic loan, to tap the domestic loan. In phase 2, we tried just to raise some loan, shortfall in the finance closure was there. We received offer from REC, UBI, then KOFC. The REC, you see, the quoted rate is 9%, and they want Government of Karnataka guarantee, first charge on movable assets, immovable assets, and escrow account. UBI also, they link their interest rate with MCLR. So considering this, what I want to say is that we have to see the pros and cons of going for domestic loan. There are certain advantages, there are certain limitations. If you raise the loan in INR, it involves no exchange risk. Yes, the foreign loan will be with exchange risk. Because of that, there will be no hedging cost if you go for domestic loan. The interest will be linked with MCLR or repo rate. Involve no commitment charges if I go based on the present experience, but going forward they may come out with commitment charges because they also want metro to spend money and complete the project in time. If you go for domestic loan, we can implement the Make in India condition in toto, because if you go for foreign funding, they insist for their own procurement guidelines. Then there will be a flexibility to increase the amount to meet cost increase. Whereas in the case of foreign funding, once the loan agreement is signed, we can draw within that. Then if you have to go for any increase, the entire process will restart. Then there will be a flexibility to restructure terms and conditions if we go for domestic loan. The flexibility will be for prepayment, pre-closure, ballooning, bullet payment, whatever. Of course, there are advantages, but limitations are too high. The tenure of domestic loan will be shorter. Whereas if you go for JICA loan, the tenure is 30 years, 10 years moratorium, 20 years repayment. High rate of interest if you go for domestic, whereas there If I add exchange rate variation in the case of JICA loan denominated in JPY, the rate of interest will not be more than 5% for 30 years. I am taking the exchange rate variation for 30 years because in the case of JICA, the rate of interest is fixed. But if I go for a dollar denominated loan, it is linked with SOFR and exchange rate fluctuation is more. On date, we did an in-house exercise. The effective cost of borrowing for 20 years, because the ADB, this AIIB, they give loan for 20 years. The effective cost of borrowing will be not less than 8%, almost equal to domestic. Then the requirement of huge amount. Foreign funding agencies giving loan whatever you want. Out of 1,03,000 crore I spoke, almost 60,000 crore is coming from funding, external funding agency. Then requirement of foreign currency, yes, because system contract, now because of Make in India condition, more and more things are happening in India, but still there will be a foreign currency payment. For that, even if you go for domestic loan, I have to go for some foreign FCA requirement. Then another limitation is there is a requirement of GOI, state guarantee for domestic loan, then collateral, escrow mechanism, then adherence to RBI guidelines. Now we'll see the international funding agencies who are funding to various metro companies. Delhi Metro, totally it is funded by JICA, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. Bengaluru, we took from JICA for phase 1, phase 2 from JICA, AFD and domestic, and 2A, 2B, we are taking loan from EIB, AIIB, ADB, and even now KFW also, they have given some loan. Chennai almost JICA, AIIB and New Development Bank. Chennai is taking tide loan also for their project from JICA. Mumbai, they are taking loan from JICA and ADB. Jaipur, totally ADB. Kochi, AFD. Now for phase 2, they are going with AIIB. Ongoing metros, it is already completed. Ahmedabad, Surat, they have taken loan from JICA, KFW, Nagpur also. So these are the funding agencies, international funding agencies giving loan fund to various funding agencies. Now you see this is the beauty of external loan. If you go with JICA, and the tenure is 30 years with grace period of 10 years, the rate of interest is fixed 2.5%. And of that, if any loan which you are taking for consulting, general consultant, the rate of interest is now 0.65%. Earlier it was 0.1%. And there is a one-time front-end fee equal to 0.2%. If I reduce the repayment period to 20 years, rate of interest will come down to 2%. And if I take the loan for 15 years, the rate of interest, fixed interest will be 1.7%. Now, Government of India is insisting for going for availing floating rate from JICA instead of fixed. If I go for floating rate, their rate of interest is TONA plus 90 basis point for 30 years, and the basis, BPS will be 70 for 20 years, and 60 basis point for 15 years. If I add everything on date, it will be around 1.5%. But what you have to do is that when we discuss with the funding agency, we have to make them to accept our condition of changing from floating to fixed and floating to fixed to floating, so that whatever the situation come in future, we can opt that option. This is the another loan. The earlier one was there was no tide condition. Here, this is the tide loan taken for the dedicated freight corridor. It is for 40 years and grace period of 10 years. The rate of interest was 20.2%, and if the repayment period was reduced to 30 years, the rate of interest was 0.1%. But the problem is the contracts have to be finalized between India and Japan. The rate of the quote received by DFC was very high, and they took a lot of time to finalize the tender. Because of the bad experience of DFC project, Government of India still they negotiated the terms, and JICA came out with modified tide loan. Here the rate of interest is 0.3. and interest on consulting service 0.01, one-time front-end fee 0.2, repayment period 40 years with grace period of 10 years. If I see the terms and condition of KFW, AFD, EIB, AIIB, ADB, this is the scenario. KFW, all European countries, they are linked their interest rate with the Euribor, with margin, and their tenure is around maximum 20 years, and they give the loan in euro. AIIB and ADB, they give with 6 monthly SOFR, and the tenure is 25 years, grace period is 5 years. Now, because the dollar denominated loan is becoming very costly, Government of India has requested all the funding agencies not only to give the loan in dollar, but also in JPY or other currency as per the requirement of funding agency, not funding agency, implementing agency. So this is the one ADB and AIB has given to us. They are ready to give the loan in JPY, not only in dollar. If we want, we can take the loan in euro, we can take the loan in JPY, and everything is linked with TONA. The rate of, if I take TONA plus points, this was done 6 months back, the JPY loan will be very cheap. So the conclusion is that, as you have seen, the domestic loan as well as foreign funding, which is very attractive, but we have to work out the cost of borrowing, effective cost of borrowing, including hedging cost or exchange rate variation, and also changes in the rate of interest over a period of 20 years and 30 years, and accordingly we should take a call. But as of now, if we take the loan from JICA in JPY, not only JICA, you take a loan from any funding agency, if it is JPY denominated, the rate of interest all inclusive will be in the range of 4 to 5%. The second highest will be euro linked, because there it will be around 7.2 to 7.5. And if it is dollar denominated, depending upon how SOFR is moving, how dollar is moving, it will not be less than 8 to 9%. 6 months back, 1 year back, it was more than 10. Now it is around 8% because of the SOFR has come down about 1%. So all the funding agency, all the implementing agencies have to see and take a call. Now Government of India is also thinking, because of the Make in India condition, and funding agencies are very rigid to accept Make in India condition. And by taking so much of loan, business is going there, and even now SBI and all, they have come out with their proposal to give long-term loan for infrastructure project. In future, there may be a change that some portion of the funding, debt portion, will be taken within India. Thank you. If you have any question, I am ready to.
Hello, you are the Director of Finance. How is the financial performance of Bangalore Metro vis-a-vis other metros?
Yes. Very good question, sir. Now, if you see in, from EBITDA point of view, even we are able to meet our operation expenditure fully from our revenue, and after this fair revision, we will be comfortable to pay part of the loan also. Not only we will be able to meet our O&M expenditure. Already we are servicing the interest element by us. Whatever is interest going to P&L account, that we are servicing. IDC, it is going to the capital, and it is funded by funding stakeholder. But whatever the interest on O&M portion, operating portion, I am able to service. And with the revised fare, I think about 30 to 40% of your loan repayment can also be done by us. In that case, my depreciation has to be, the asset replacement has to be supported by somebody else. BMRCL will be able to pay the loan. And in case government is say that you take care of your asset replacement, we will service the loan, then that will also be possible. But as on date, we are, after interest we are positive, but before depreciation negative. I hope it is clear. If I compare with other metros, see the Delhi Metro, they are carrying 7 million passengers per day. Their fare is 8 years old. They are realizing revenue at 6 years back, incurring expenditure at today's level. So that is the reason there is a mismatch. And Nagpur, I gave the example. If you see from only farebox and non-farebox revenue, excluding innovative financing, every metro is in red. Everybody is able to meet their O&M expenditure, but none of the metro is in a position to service the interest also. But fortunately, since the last 3 years, BMRCL is able to service the interest, not the loan portion. Anything else? Not more than 3 and 3.5% in Singapore and Hong Kong. Whereas in India, what is happening, as per the O&M Act of Metro, we have to make a request to MOVA. Then there is a process of taking the member from state government, government of India, and the retired judge. It takes a lot of time. Actually, we sent the proposal for Constitutional Committee in 2020. Committee was constituted in September 2024. So you can see the gap. And because of all these factors, the committee has recommended, the committee has accepted BMRCL's demand for recommending an automatic fare revision formula. It is based on certain parameters with a cap of 5% per annum. And that has been accepted by our board. And based on that, we will increase the fare every year at the rate of 5% rounded to nearest rupee. So this will, in this case, what will happen? The public outcry will not be much. What happened after 7.5 years? We have increased the fare by about 51.55% average. In certain slab, it was 71%. Certain slab, it is 0. But average was 51.55%. But the public outcry, the political outcry was so huge, and we could able to convince the committee's report was accepted by our board. And if there is not much difference between actual increase as per the formula or cap, we can go on increasing every year without asking for next fare fixation committee. If there is huge differences, then obviously we have to make a request for Constitutional Committee, and that committee will reset the fare from thereafter.
Thank you very much, sir. I am Himanshu Verma. I am representing a Spanish design and engineering consulting firm called IDOM. Sir, first of all, I would like to thank you very much for giving us a brief introduction about the financing model that is international and the national. It gives, a very good information to a company like us, those who are trying to participate in the metro projects in India. And we are exploring the things, how the things are being taken care about the financing and all those things. Sir, my question is to know about, is it very general, is not only for the Bangalore Metro. My question is in general to know about, the investment, the projected investment in metro rail projects in India in next 5 years. So if you could share something in general about it, or that would be very much of
now I have the data based on the MOVA website, whatever is available. On date, about 979 kilometers of metro is under implementation, and another 1029 kilometers is in pipeline. Pipeline means waiting for approval. So huge potential because now the metro has become the status symbol for every state. And moreover, we have to plan now, because now when the particular tier 2, tier 3 cities, we have to plan when the population is less, when the space is available, when the land is cheaper. What happened in the Bangalore is the metro concept came very late, and by that time the city has developed and hardly any space was there. Because of that, we faced a lot of problem in completing the project in time. Considering all these factors and experiences gained so far, Government of India is very comfortable to approve the project. Even the basic parameters like population more than 2 million is there or not there, they are ready to approve the project, provided this kind of innovative financing mechanism is adopted by the state government. So I think huge potential is there, and that you can understand.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Hello sir, my name is Neha from LNT. And when will we expect the phase 3 tenders will come for Bangalore? Thank you sir.
The phase 3 has been approved by Government of India, and funding we are availing from JICA. JICA due diligence is going on. As far as awarding the tender, starting the project implementation, we faced one issue that state government came out with the proposal of wherever metro in Bangalore going elevated, we should go for double decker. The one which has been done in Nagpur at surface level road, elevated first level will be for road, flyover, second level will be for metro. So that second level, the state government approval is taking time. Now they have given the approval. So we will be starting the work, and the timeline given by Government of India while sanctioning the project was 5.5 years. So the day we award the first contract, most probably based on our experience, we are having now experienced people. If not 5.5 years, 6 years, we can complete the project. That's it. Thank you so much. Avanya.
Yeah, hi. Hello, sir. You talked about the metros being in red. So, what is your perspective about financial viability of metros in long run? Because one school of thought is that public transport services might be running in reds because of the requirement it has to, or because of the various obligations it has to fulfill. But what is your perspective about it? Can we ever see the public transport systems like metro, can they ever come out of red? Can we expect that to happen? Because freight is one thing, whether we have a non-fare or fare revenues, all these things are not contributing to the extent that should make it financially viable or profitable. So what is your take on this?
Sir, if I see the financial viability point of view, we have to see from this angle that when we create such a huge infrastructure project, it creates a lot of externalities. And unless these externalities are captured by state government by bringing various mechanisms like increasing the FAR, getting the additional premium, and also betterment levy and all, it's very difficult because the benefit goes to the private citizen. Ultimately, somebody is getting benefit, but it is not captured by the government. When government is spending so much of investment, they should come out with like Maharashtra has done. Similar system should be implemented in every state. When I was in Delhi, when the Noida line was opened, before that I was planning to buy a flat in Mayur Vigar. It was about 20 lakh. The moment metro crossed, it crossed 1 crore. So the benefit is going to the private. And one is, as was correct sir, the fare box revenue, if you increase the fare beyond certain limit, people will not come. In Bangalore, once the fare was revised, my ridership was about 8.5 lakh, it came down to 7 lakh. Now it has stabilized because initial that it was there. But since people are not having any option and if they travel by road, it will take a lot of time, they come back. Having said that, the state government has to come out because in the new metro policy, there is no FIRR criteria, only ARR criteria. So the Maharashtra government came out with those proposals only because that time MOVA has put a condition that any metro rail project which comes for approval of Government of India should have a FIRR of 8%, and even if you increase the ridership just to achieve the FIRR, there are in MOVA, Niti Aayog, everybody will screen, and based on other metro experience they see that it is not achievable. And because of that, they came out with this nice proposal. So this kind of proposal, we should recommend, the consultant should recommend in the DPR, and Government of India should insist for some threshold of FIRR. Unless that is happening, sir, if I say, based on my experience, based on my own expenditure, when I went to the fare fixation committee, I worked out. If I have to achieve break-even point of no profit, no loss, my fare has to be 5 rupees per kilometer. Nobody will come. So we have to see that this kind of mechanism, if income is there. In Singapore, we went there. They are giving subsidy to elderly person, army person, students, but that much amount is compensated by line ministry to the metro operator. And the operator is responsible only to operate. He is not responsible to increase the rolling stock. Here metro has to maintain entire viaduct, entire electrical system, entire rolling stock. Whereas bus system, they are concerned only with bus. Road is with PWD. So we cannot compare bus system with metro. We have our own limitations, we have our own challenges, and therefore this kind of system has to be done. There were the demand during fare fixation committee from the public consultation. You give discount, you make student free, you give Sunday for family free. Thankfully, our committee, after visiting Singapore and Hong Kong, they didn't agree for all these things. If the state government is insisting, let state government make the compensate the loss to metro. So this kind of mechanism is required.
Thank you.
Thank you.